Here we are for yet another episode of Shut Up and Listen,
Small Town Stories
with Sarah
and Renee.
Yes, and today we're doing something a little bit different.
We are. I'm very excited.
I hope that we can all learn a little bit more about City Council today. So our format today is we are interviewing 3 different council people that bring very different perspectives. So we have Steve Kauffman, who serves as the president of City Council.
Correct.
And has served in that capacity a much longer period of time than our other 2 guests today, who are Don Manell and Mike Schaefer, who are both new to City Council.
Correct. When we started this podcast, we talked about how we wanted to utilize it for a variety of reasons, and one of those reasons is, for education purposes.
Yes.
And I think with all the activity people are seeing on social media and within the community, City Council's name is being used a lot, and I think there is some misconceptions about
Absolutely.
council. I think council is doing tremendous work. And I think this is a great opportunity to bring some of those council members on and hear from their perspective. What does council do?
Yes.
What have they learned? What do they enjoy? What are the frustrations about those roles that they serve?
Yeah, and I think this episode, I'm hopeful that our listeners can learn a little bit more about the form of our city government and how it actually operates, because I don't think people have a clear understanding of that, and then council's role within that.
And then hopefully as they listen and maybe learn a little something, they reach out to those city council members, whether they're the ones on the podcast or ones that we don't have joining us today that represent their ward, and ask any follow-up questions, or realize after today that these individuals do work for the betterment of the community.
Yes.
And they work for the local citizens, and they are all very willing to listen, advise, and just be there as a sounding board, if nothing else.
Absolutely.
So we will get started with our first guest,
Steve Kauffman. Don't worry, she's the one. She's the one that will, wrap it up with her very interesting questions. So you should be nicer to her.
I love all people.
I love all people.
All right, are we ready?
You ready?
Okay, so we're sitting here with Steve Kauffman, who is president of the Fostoria City Council.
Yes, that's one hat that he wears, and that's why we're talking to him today. But what do you do in all your other fun time?
Well, I'm also the director of bands for Fostoria City Schools, which is a very full-time job in its own. And then we have my wife Heidi and I have this little side hustle going where we are originally started as a COVID type of deal, finding out about online auctions and buying some stuff from various estate auctions and such, and then turned into reselling some of them at the Thistle Exchange. Originally both locations, now just the one here in Fostoria, and now apparently we've grown into snuggie kitchen towels and pajamas and kids clothes and maybe more to come. I don't know.
So you continue to evolve.
We continue to evolve. I am nothing if not constantly evolving, like a Pokemon.
Okay, well, I'm not even going to touch that at this point. It's still too early. So we're going to focus in today on your role in City Council. So explain to everyone, what is the role of president?
It sounds really important, doesn't it?
Well, I just like calling you president.
I mean, who doesn't really? But the so City Council president essentially runs the meetings, making sure the meetings follow within guide of the Ohio Revised Code, of the Ohio Open Meeting Laws, and almost a referee type of deal, making sure that everything's moving along right, making sure that everyone is staying in a sort of decorum that you want in a meeting. And that also means that behind the scenes, you're getting emails and texts and conversations with other council members saying, hey, I'm kind of bothered by the way this person's acting. And so honestly, the 2 jobs are fairly similar. a lot of personalities to deal with. You try to make sure that everyone is focused on the same goal, because you're not going to agree on everything. You shouldn't agree on everything, but you should all agree that we're trying to do the best we can for Fostoria, and we're trying to make sure that meetings are accessible and make sure that meetings are open. And so that's sort of my job. I can't vote on anything unless there's a tie. If we had 6 people there and it was 3-3, I would break the tie. But I can't propose any legislation. I can't vote on any legislation. In theory, I can bring it up. I've had people bring stuff up to me, and I've passed it along to the appropriate person or push them in the right direction. But that's pretty much my role. Is just making sure that everything. And so I think that's a good thing. I think. I think we're a little more diverse. We're definitely more diverse in opinions than we were before. I would like to see the council represent the town a little more as far as economic diversity and such like that. But you can. But I do think that there's a more level of engagement. I know that makes some people not quite as comfortable as other people because they're used to one way, and then they kind of sort of change the thing. But I think we have really good people in there. I think at this point, if you're signing up to do something locally in local government, it's because you actually do care and want to make a difference. I don't know, you hear rumors before how whatever, and you hear a lot of people still think that it's, oh, well, so you can get all the power and all that. And it's like, guys, there's really not a whole lot of power to go along. I mean, we're still Fostoria, which is a great thing. But, everyone on there cares about the city and wants to make it better. Now, they may disagree on how to do that, but their intentions are usually pretty good. And usually at the end of the day, they come together to do what they think is best for what's going on. And I really like that. It seemed like before there was a lot of people either just sitting there, occupying space. No offense to anyone, I'm not thinking of anyone in particular. There's, like I said, there's checks and balances in place, and there's a reason why checks and balances are in place.
Yes.
So, Steve, it's been interesting to hear about things from your perspective, because you do offer a unique perspective, what with your tenure and your role on council.
Yes.
So we always like to end our sessions with some quick fire questions, if you will. So I'm going to fire 4 or 5 questions at you, and you can give us the first response that comes to your mind.
I'll do the best I can.
Your favorite food?
That's really hard.
Okay, that's supposed to be a pretty.
That was supposed to be an easy one.
It's supposed to be an easy one.
Rapid fire, quick answers.
Dannon Light and Fit yogurt.
Wow, would not have expected that. Okay.
Favorite vacation spot?
Gatlinburg.
Favorite animal?
You said that I wasn't going to get that one.
She's well. Okay. So we are here now with our second city council member for this episode. We are here with Mike Schaefer, who is one of our newer city council members. So first and foremost, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
And I guess we'll start by asking, what made you decide to get involved with city council?
Well, actually, so I used to work over in Findlay for many years. Recently took a job where I work remotely from home. And so I working through that job, I was like thinking, there's something I want to do to give back to the community, kind of, pulls on my heartstrings to give back and volunteer and do something for the community. So actually, I came to Sarah first.
That's right, you did. I kind of forgot about that.
It's interesting how these
things come full circle.
And just to get an idea of I knew Sarah because I bought her old house. And,
you did, yeah.
And so,
it's a very small world.
Her starter house was my starter house.
Yeah.
And so I came to her and started chatting about what are the opportunities, that we have. And she gave me a couple ideas and said, hey, there might be an opportunity, for city council if you're interested in that. And so I thought on it a little bit, and I thought, what, I think I can make a difference here. And so decided to put my name in the hat for that. So it's been good. It's been really interesting.
So because you were appointed to an open position, so you wanted to give back. But so once you got there, what did you learn? Let me go back a step. What did you wish you knew before you stepped into that role?
Interesting. Yeah. So I've learned a lot. I'll say that. It's been, every day it's something new. And I don't think I did not realize all of the different functions that went into running the city. Coming in from the outside, not really, being in, part of different groups and volunteer groups, I had an idea, but just seeing like the breadth and depth of everything, like, the wastewater treatment plant, the water treatment plant, just going and touring those things, like, and how everything is ran, it's amazing. You don't really realize what it takes to make everything happen until you actually see it. So it to me, that was very eye-opening. What I wish I knew when I came in, I think it's that. I think it's understanding a little bit more about the city and that, but I'm still learning every day, learning how to interact with different people, and as questions come up to me, making sure that I'm giving them what they need. So yeah, it's
because you've worked in for-profit business, you've been in the corporate world,
right? Yep.
And so stepping into seeing kind of the behind the scenes of how government operates.
Yeah.
They're very, very different entities.
Yeah, a little slower to get things done. But it's interesting because you have to try to get a lot more influence, and you have to work with a lot more people and making sure that everyone's on board and agreeing for the most part, to make things happen. So, and sometimes you do have to make decisions in the end that will upset people, but it is what it is. And so, I think that it's been I guess like I said, a journey for me, just in my own development, learning, like you gotta be uncomfortable being comfortable at times, be comfortable being uncomfortable. But I think that, going through this, it's helped me, just as a professional in my career, also, learning about the city, and I feel really good about the different things that are happening, with the things that we're working on, so in the community. So
wonderful. If you could say one thing to your constituents, or if there was one thing you would like them to know, what would that be?
That I'm here for them. A lot of times, I think people feel like sometimes council, or they don't have anywhere to go or someone to talk to. What I want to do is make sure that they know that I'm here for them. Anytime that they have a question, they can come to me, bring up their, if they feel like they don't know about something that's going on, I'll be happy to fill them in, and also be there for them. So that's what I'm here for, right? To support them and be a resource for them. So that's really what I want them to know right now. I know that there was a lot of concerns around communication in the past and things like that. And so we've really been trying hard this past year to work with the Public Affairs Committee and get information out there through social media, hosting town halls for different events and things like that, just to really, bring things to light that people had questions about, so there was awareness around that. So yeah.
What do you think is the biggest misconception the community has about city council that you would like to clear up?
I see a lot of comments on Facebook from time to time that basically points out that city council isn't doing something, or we need to be pushing through, or working on certain things like the streets, or different activities that are happening in the community. And I think that before I came into council, I probably would have been in that same mindset. I'm thinking, city council isn't doing certain things that I'd want them to do. But what I realized is it really takes a lot of the municipal side of things, the mayor, safety service director, all those, to kind of get everything planned and prepared prior to all of this happening. And really what council does is they're that final approval when things come through. They're the group that's really looking at, hey, is the money there? Can we afford to do this, and does it make sense to do this for the community and for the citizens when it's all said and done, and to be a voice for the people? And so I think that that's really what, I think that that's where some people get a little confused. They think that, it comes across on Facebook that we're the ones out there paving the roads, or we're making the calls to pave the roads.
There's Mike Schaefer. He's on driving the roller.
That's right,
He's down the street.
Yeah, right. But I think that I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions, that we're here to help. We make that final approval. We have to do our research and due diligence to make sure that things are things are going to be the best support for the city and the community. So.
And I think people don't realize the years of planning that go into streets that are going to be paved a year out, 2 years out.
I think there's a 10-year plan,
and
honestly, right now.
And what goes into putting together city budgets, and then keeping all of that in the framework of making sure you're following Ohio Revised Code and you're operating as you should. There are a lot of steps to making things happen.
Right, there sure is. I think just seeing, like I said before, just the amount of work that goes into different things, and even with the Dora's an awesome thing, and the amount of work and planning that you two put into all of that, and to make that happen. I mean, you handled that perfectly, and and there was opposition, obviously, right? But you know what? You look at it now, you see the community, all the great events, man. Yeah. It makes me so happy, to see this stuff. And, I bring my friends in now from Toledo, Findlay, and I said, 5 years ago, we didn't have anything like this. And this is amazing. Look at this. And everyone, all my friends are like, this is cool. I didn't realize Fostoria was this kind of cool,
Which is great to hear.
Right. So it's the vibe, everything that's happening with our community is getting so much better. So.
There's definitely great momentum.
Yes, for sure.
So you referenced being on the Public Affairs Committee.
Yeah.
And you and Amy Mendoza, who is also on council, you guys have kind of taken that on and really run with it.
Right.
I'm sure we have some people listening that may not know what the Public Affairs Committee is. So could you explain that a little bit, what your goals are with that committee and kind of where you see that going?
Yeah, so when Amy and Amy was also appointed at the same time as I was to City Council. We were both appointed to take on the Public Affairs Committee because one of the things that we said when we stood up and said we wanted to run for council was that we wanted to work on communication, bringing more things to light to make sure that people had awareness, to educate the community and do different things like that. So we started meeting early this year just to start coming up with plans. There was a ballot issue up on the May primary to really push forth a charter, and different things that the community wanted to vote on. And so our goal was to just start letting people know, this is what it is. We didn't want to put it out there as we support this one way or we support that one way. We just wanted to put out the educational facts and just to let people know this is what to expect if this happens. And so, and you make your decision one way or another. But as the Public Affairs Committee, we wanted to do that. So that was our first big push. And so I think we had a lot of good momentum there, and I think that it really helped. Honestly, I think it really helped with some of the things that we were doing in City Council and people feeling a little more confident about the abilities of City Council because of all the communication that Amy and I were doing. We also started our own Facebook pages and things like that, and we try to share different community events and things like that. But the goal of the group really is just that. Focus on communication.
So I have some rapid fire questions for you. But before I get into that, is there
mentally prepare yourself?
Is there anything additional that you would like our listeners to know about you, your role, or City Council as a whole?
I think that it's just important to reach out to your City Council people, get to know who your City Council person is. I get a lot of questions from folks and all over the city, not just in my ward, and I don't expect that, but if I have a lot going on, I will direct them to the appropriate council person. But I think that just get to know your City Council person, reach out to them, come to them with kind of an open mind, if you have an issue, and we all have email addresses, so shoot an email, and we're usually pretty responsive on things like that. So yep, just connect with us anytime.
Great. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready. Rapid fire. Let's do it.
He looks like genuinely ready for this. He's not
ready.
freaked out like our last couple people.
Okay. Your favorite holiday?
Halloween.
Favorite animal?
Dog.
Favorite subject in school?
Ooh, favorite subject in school? Oh my gosh. There's so many good subjects.
Are we talking like subjects or like lunch and recess? Like which way do you
Make
go?
it your
Art
own.
class. I loved art class.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Favorite food?
Favorite food? Tacos.
Favorite thing about Fostoria?
Ooh, favorite thing about it's home.
Oh, that's a
Love
good
that
one.
response. Love it.
Very good.
Never. Okay. So we are now joined by our third councilman for this episode, Mr. Don Manel. And you have also been on council for a shorter period of time than some of the others. You're relatively new. So I guess my first question is, why did you decide to seek a position on city council?
I have no idea.
I love the
I
honesty.
love that response.
I felt that council needed someone with a business mind, and the city is a business, and a significantly sized business. It's a $28 million business, and I felt I could contribute.
Fantastic. What do you feel the role of city council is in the community?
Well, the primary role of city council is to know and understand the ordinances in the city and to recommend new ordinances or the deletion of antiquated ordinances. And with the recent passage of the charter amendments, we now have oversight of the finance director and the law director. But what city council is not, is it's not the enforcement agency for the city. And an awful lot of citizens seem to think that we are the enforcement agency. There are others who are empowered to enforce. We are not. So I think an awful lot of citizens don't understand what government is, which amazes me because when I went to school, government was a required course.
I believe that it still is.
It is. I just don't know that people, I don't know that people retain it. I think maybe it has gone in somewhere, but it's lost. It's lost over time, maybe.
I would think so.
Yeah. So you confessed you're not really sure. You did come up with an answer as to why you ran for council, but what did you wish you had known prior to stepping in that role? Was there anything that kind of caught you by surprise that you wish you would have known?
Well, what's probably the most frustrating is that coming out of business where you have to make decisions every day that are critical to the forward movement of the business, in government, it moves at a snail's pace.
Yes.
It is slow, it is frustrating, and the other thing that's frustrating is showing up for a council meeting and checking your email to see if there's been any new legislation proposed, and oh, by the way, yes, it came in an hour ago, right before council. That's no way to run a business. I mean, and then we also have way too many ordinances that are quote unquote emergencies. And I understand some of the financial requirements because of the backward way that governments do finances.
Correct.
I mean, some of the financial requirements in cities is archaic. I mean, it's crazy. So I understand those that need to be done on almost a bi-weekly basis. Something comes up and you don't have the money allocated for it, so you have to take it out of the general fund. But some of the other emergencies, I think we pass way too fast, without good discussion, without good understanding, and then hopefully we don't regret that they were passed in an emergency.
Okay, so you've just given us 3 things that you find frustrating. Is there anything that you enjoy or that you would consider positive? I had to ask. you
mean-
enjoy the camaraderie that you found on council? Do you enjoy working with the administration?
Enjoy feeling like you're making a positive difference.
We're
That
trying
would
to
be
help you out
nice.
here.
That would be nice. It's challenging. The camaraderie in council is a little different because we all come from different backgrounds, and then we have the what's the requirement?
Like the sunshine
Sunshine
laws?
law, or
I'm sorry.
like sunshine law, where you
Yeah, you have the sunshine law. So if 3 of you are caught talking together, it's a violation of the law. I mean, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. How do you plan and discuss legislation in advance if you can't talk to your fellow council people?
That's an excellent point.
It's a
And it
valid
goes
point.
back to some of the things I think we've talked to about other council, with other council members, is learning all of the rules and the regulations and how to navigate those to effectively do your job.
Yeah, you're effectively trying to do your job with one hand tied behind your back. So which happens too often in government.
Yes.
So I think government moves at a snail's pace. So I think to really feel good about what you're doing and what you're accomplishing takes a lot of time. And we've got a lot of good things coming and a lot of things going on, but it's going to take time for those things to happen. And a lot of people are impatient. They don't understand that it takes time. And as you know, and certainly in business, and certainly in baseball, which is the best comparison, if you're batting 330, you're doing great. I mean, so if you win 1 and you lose 2, it's not the end of the world. But you keep working for the wins.
That's very wise, Don. Very wise.
I'm not wise.
Oh, you are.
You are.
So, if you could say one thing to your constituents, or if there was one thing you would like them to know, what would it be?
Oh, the constituents.
Yes, the constituents. You're talking to your public.
That's
I'm sorry, the look on your face,
I know.
it's just priceless to me.
it's almost a painful question.
I feel like this whole process might be painful for you today. I'm sorry.
It's not supposed to be.
Well,
I feel like maybe we should have started with you.
Okay.
I'm the rookie.
You're the rookie.
Love it.
You know, you're speaking your truth.
But as you look at city council,
Mhm.
and you've mentioned this, everybody comes with a little bit of a different background.
Yeah.
And you have a significantly heavy business background. There are a couple others on council that have a business background, but I mean,
I think you come with the most experience from business leadership in corporate America.
Well, I think there are some others who might argue with you,
okay.
but
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
right. No, I have a significant amount. I have a master's in business administration. Probably the only one that has that. Have run a significantly sized company. But we're fortunate right now. The majority of the members on council do have some business background.
Yes.
And some really good background. And some very different outlooks. Some are conservative, some are liberal, some are Republicans, some are Democrats. But our council is nonpartisan. I mean, if you look at a lot of the communities around us, they have partisan elections and it can get ugly. And the one thing I will say about our council is every single member of council has the best interest of Fostoria at heart.
See, that's positive.
Yes.
Well, it is. It is.
I love that.
We're getting there.
Yes.
We're getting there.
So, if somebody were to come up to you, let's say in Kroger next week, and say, Mr. Manel, I'm thinking about running for city council, what would you say to them? What advice would you give them? Because that is an issue we've seen in the past, people not really stepping up to run.
Or really understanding what the role is and what they're getting into.
Yeah.
So before you tell
that's
them
a
to
major
run,
challenge. first of all, I think they need to understand whether they're going to run at large or from a
From a ward.
from a ward. Thank you, from a ward, and then where they live. And
You're the first one who's mentioned that.
Yes.
So can you, for anyone listening, what's the difference?
well, the difference is we have 7 council members. 4 represent the wards of the city, and 3 are at large, elected by the entire population. And the main difference is that I'm Ward 3, so my primary responsibility is to look out for Ward 3 and what's going on in Ward 3 and what needs to be changed in Ward 3.
And where is Ward 3?
And Ward 3 is it's bordered by South Street to the south and Elm Street to the north and County Line Street to the west, and east goes to the city limits,
Okay.
basically. Now there's a little bit of, I mean, it's not exact squares. So, and the difference when you're running is, you know, to fill out a ballot to run, you need 25 signatures for a ward position, and you need 50 signatures for an at-large position,
Okay.
similar to the mayor. So, if I get an inquiry from outside of my ward, I might just shoot back, you should contact your council person who represents you in that ward. Whereas the at-large council people have somewhat of an obligation to respond to any comments or complaints. But even so, if they have somebody living in my ward, they'll shoot it to me and say, would you like to respond? So that's the difference. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to have, everybody's supposed to have a voice and a vote. So really you have multiple representatives for council. And it's very difficult to find people to run in certain wards. And some cities have done away with wards. Columbus, for example, everybody's at large. And what happens then is you end up with 7 councilmen that live in the same ward, basically. So their hearts may be in the right place, they may be looking out for the entire city, but they don't understand some of the issues maybe in sectors of town where they don't transit. So when we were discussing this at the Charter Review Commission, we debated it hard and came out on the side of keeping the 4 wards.
We're going to deviate from your question, but we'll circle back because I think this has been really helpful talking about the wards, but you mentioned the Charter Commission. So you are very active in that and involved in that. Can you explain a little bit about the Charter Commission, how often it meets and its purpose?
Well, first of all, it's just the purpose of the charter. The purpose of the charter is to create a charter city, and a charter city then operates according to the charter as opposed to operating strictly by Ohio Revised Code.
And the city of Fostoria already operates off of a charter form of government.
And has since, I want to say, 1974, something like that. I can't
I'm
remember
not sure.
for sure.
I'd have to go back and look.
So the Charter Review Commission by law comes up every 10 years, and last year was a review period. And in order to change the charter, it takes a vote of the, it has to pass as by the majority of the voters. The other way you can change the charter is coming through city council, but it still has to be approved by a majority of the voters. And Ohio Revised Code, as well as our current charter, in my opinion, have some archaic pieces to them that need to be changed and make it more complex, more difficult to operate. And there are some things in the Ohio Revised Code that make no sense whatsoever. But the legislature doesn't appear to be interested in changing them. And that's not my job.
Thank you for that. So going back to Renee's initial question, so if someone's approaches you interested in running for council, once they determine how they're going to run, whether a ward or at large, what other pieces of advice would you give them on how to prepare, what to expect?
Well, I would say probably spend some time looking at the ordinances, talk to other council people, understand who you might be running against. If you're going to run against an incumbent, understand what their stand is and where their position is, and because you're going to have to form a platform upon which you're going to run, and then decide whether, how you're going to campaign. Are you willing to commit monies to it? Are you going to buy signs? Are you going to do other things? Because in a contested race, it can get a little pricey.
And there's rules that govern how you use that money and account for that money.
Absolutely. I mean, you can't put a sign in the boulevard. It has to be back in the yard. It has to have the name of your treasurer on it. And you can be your own treasurer if you want. That information has to be on the sign, and those things are classified by Ohio Revised Code. The other thing that people don't understand is that we have to pass an ethics course in order to qualify for council. We have to file our personal financial statements with the state of Ohio every year. So there's some things that if you're not paying attention, you can get yourself in trouble.
Okay.
So, is there anything additional that you would like our listeners to know about you, your role, or City Council as a whole?
Well, I think we're fortunate to have a strong City Council right now. I think we're fortunate to have a very strong administration. We are making headway. I believe that a year from now, we will be out from under financial review by the state. I think a year from now, we'll be out from under the EPA consent order. It's taken a lot of money, but the revisions to the sewer plant are very impressive.
They are.
And I think good things are coming for Fostoria. I'm excited about where we are and where we're going and what's coming down the pike.
Good.
Fantastic. I like to end on a positive note, except we're not done yet.
Brace yourself. Here comes Renee's trademark at the end of every interview.
Like to do some quick fire questions so our listeners can get to know a little more about you.
Oh,
So
okay.
Here comes the excited face again.
It's radiating off of him. I'm asking 5 questions.
These are
Just
hard-hitting
say
questions,
the
Don.
First
They're
thing
what?
that comes
They're
to your
very
mind.
hard-hitting questions. Be
Yeah,
prepared.
okay.
Your favorite vacation spot.
Why would I have a favorite vacation spot? I like to go somewhere I've never been before.
Okay,
There you
where's
go,
some
Vic.
place you want to go?
That you haven't been.
Oh,
It's on the list.
I don't know. My problem is my wife's choices and my choices are diabolically.
This is about you.
This isn't about
This is
Louise.
about you.
This is
Okay.
about Don.
Okay. I don't know. I'm happy here right now.
Okay, I'm just gonna let that one go.
Well, we didn't ask him what his favorite thing about Fostoria was in our regular interview, so he just wants to stay here. It's his favorite vacation, non-vacation spot.
Well, during the pandemic, people discovered staycations.
They did.
This is
And
true.
they're
They
very
did.
popular, and Fostoria's not a bad place to live.
It's not.
It's a very safe community. I feel very comfortable walking, and
What's your favorite holiday? Not hard question.
I feel like these questions are more painful than any we've asked so far.
probably Christmas.
Okay. What was your favorite subject in school?
English.
Favorite food?
Favorite food. I like to eat. Just look at me. I like to
Just
eat.
pick one.
There doesn't have to be one. I mean, I like fruits. I like vegetables. I like meat.
Okay, Don likes food.
I like seafood.
Your favorite animal?
Probably dogs.
Oh, this is a theme. All of our council interviewees have said a dog.
And
Well, how can you not love a dog?
It's
I mean,
true.
they greet you every night with
Yeah.
love, and
Mhm.
I mean, they're just wonderful.
final question. What's your favorite thing about Fostoria?
Oh, there it was.
I think the fact that Fostoria is such a safe community. I mean, you can go out early morning, late night. You can walk in any sector of town. I think our safety services people do a wonderful job, and you know, having grown up here and raised my children here, it's just a very comfortable community to live in. I'd rather, and I'm not a big city person. I would go crazy in a big city.
That is surprising. So, we have now talked to 3 of our council representatives here in the city of Fostoria, and speaking for myself, I have learned some things today about them as individuals, and it's been a nice refresher on some things about city council as a whole. So I would just speak for both of us and thank Steve Kauffman, Mike Schaefer, and Don Manel for their time today. We hope that you enjoy this episode as much as we enjoyed recording it.
On this episode of Shut Up and Listen
Small Town Stories
with Sarah
and Renee.